Welcome students of Form 2. I'm talking about Form 2A and I'm talking about Form 2B. Welcome in this final video about Chapter 5. Last video about Chapter 5 and we're talking about the impact of climate change on the global village. And in specific, we're talking about the paragraph 3 about green living. As you can see over there, green living. That's what we're talking about. And it would be very smart and advisable to take the book in front of you, part 3, green living. How can we do that? We talked about recycling, the recycling of paper. We talked about what recycling is, the recycling of plastic and how it happens on the island of Curacao. We talked about what the purpose of recycling is, that it generates less energy than creating a totally new product, and that is the purpose, and that recycling can give us useful products again, made by the reconstruction and remolding and reprocessing of its basic components, being it paper, being it glass, or being it actually plastic. So you can reprocess it and get something new, and this takes less energy than creating something new from scrap. And also we see on the island of Curacao that we have a lot of recycle stations and there are a lot of global corporations, multinationals, that help us in recycling and reprocessing products. So this takes less energy. And in the long run, this takes less natural resources like wood, and this also generates less energy than taking the wood, cutting the wood, and creating paper of that again. So this is why we recycle. This means green living. And in this section, we are busy with identifying, naming, this is the behavior verb, possible solutions to what? To the effects of climate change. So we're talking about identifying possible solutions to the effects of climate change. That's what we're talking about. So when you watch this video, please keep that in the back of your mind. Yeah, and you have to be able to name them. You have to be able to identify them. So this is the behavioral verb. Yeah, this is the thing you have to be able to do when we're done with this video, or when you're done studying this paragraph 3. And by the way, this is the third video of 3 videos about this topic. So we see here, when you throw this into nature, what happens to different kinds of products. I'm not going to talk about all of these, you can see them, but I'm going to name 4, just going to look at 4 of them. For instance, paper, it's in nature for 2 and 4 weeks. Yeah, you can see it here, a piece of paper. Or for instance, a cigarette butt, like you call it in English, it's there for 2 to 5 years. I can assure you have a lot of those on the island of Curacao. They stay in nature for 2 to 5 years. They stay visible, they stay as a form of pollution. They can pollute the soil, they can pollute the land, it's land pollution. What do we see? Plastic bags. It is there for 100 to 500 years. So pollution like plastic bag is there for more than 100, multiple generations can have the consequences of throwing away a plastic bag. This is more than I actually knew. And an aluminum can is there for 200 to 500 years. So when you throw away a can like this, when you throw it into nature, it's there for multiple generations, even more than a plastic bag would be. And there's a lot of aluminum cans everywhere. Yeah? So these are just a few examples. And rings of a 6-pack are a stronger kind of material, and they're even there for 450 years, a lot of time. You can see them here. So you see, everything we throw into nature, and on the island of Curacao, unfortunately, we do this for different lengths of time. The land is polluted, the soil is polluted by this. And I've just taken a few 4 examples of pollution of the land and pollution of the soil. Yeah, so we can also call this the decomposition rate, the rate in which things are decomposed into nature, not visible anymore, and nature takes care of this stuff, but sometimes it takes years, decades, or even centuries before these materials are being decomposed, as it is called. So in this figure that you can see here, you see the decomposition rates of different products into nature, the so-called decomposition rates, yeah, of various items. And all the items highlighted in the illustration are found on landfill sites, but also in our neighborhoods, into our water bodies, in our cities, into bushes, in the Emondi, ding Emondi nos isla. And all the items highlighted in the illustration are found in landfill sites, Malpais, for instance, and carelessly discarded elsewhere. Yeah, we throw this in the Bondi, we throw this into our water bodies, we throw this into our streets, those Kayanan, yeah, Hanshinan, and they are discarded carelessly. I see this all the time. People smoking a cigarette, throwing it outside, people throwing away the aluminum cans away just carelessly without thinking about it. Nos nota pensa, Ikeski. How many of these could be recycled? That's an interesting question. Or reused. In the future, who will be dealing with the plastic bags thrown away today? Well, actually, this will be your children, Bomuchanan, your grandchildren. Sometimes even the children of your grandchildren will be dealing with the plastic bags, will be dealing with the aluminum cans, and you yourself will be dealing with the cigarette butts. Yeah. So this is something that transcends generations. This is bigger than you and me. Our children and the children of your children will be dealing with the waste we throw away today. Yeah. So this is something for our children, but also for our grandchildren, that they will have to deal with the waste we throw away. Yeah. And you see that some of the former islands of the Dutch Antilles have done something about it. For instance, Sint Maarten has imposed a ban on the use of single plastic, so they don't use like plastic bags anymore or paper straws, because they've also noticed that it imposes a big problem for the island. Yeah, and some parties in the Staten, the Parliament of Curaçao, are also talking about this. We have to do something about paper straws and small bags, single-use plastics, because you use them one time and often you throw them away into Emondi, Dingos Mondi, Dingos Hanchunan, Dingos Kayanan, Isiki Notable. It's not okay, because our children and our grandchildren and even generations after that will have to deal with the problems of this waste. Like you can see here, St. Maarten has announced that this week, in June 2022, St. Maarten will be implementing the single-use plastic ban. So 2 years ago, they stopped also with the use of single plastics. Yes, and the Minister of Tourism, Economic Affairs and Transportation and Telecommunication has said, I'm informing the community and business owners how we intend to do so and by when we expect the complete implementation. So the supermarkets, small and big, European ones, Chinese ones, they are expected not to use paper straws and plastic bags anymore. And they begin in stages, a step-by-step method of approach. Step by step, they are saying you are not allowed to use paper straws anymore. Yeah, pipa, pipa, and not to use single plastic anymore, because it is creating soil pollution and land pollution. Yeah, and the next step would be, instead of using one use plastic, single-use plastic, that people start to use paper bags and reusable cloth bags. Yeah. So instead of using single-use plastic for doing their groceries, people in St. Maarten and also in other places are now expected to use reusable cloth bags. Reuse. Yeah. So no more plastic and produced bags, single-use plastics. In Bonaire, also by the way, also in St. Maarten, more and more people are expected to use reusable cloth bags that can be reused and not intended to use one time and then throw away. Yeah, this is how it goes right now in Bonaire and also in St. Maarten. The small supermarkets and the big supermarkets, European ones, Chinese ones, are expected to use reusable cloth bags. Well, the next step. What we also see, and what I also see sometimes in my street, right now I'm living in Bonham, I see that some of my neighbors, they burn their waste. And I smell this, it's not good for my lungs. And I also see the smoke when I drive to my street. So many households simply burn much of the solid waste. They burn it, much of the solid waste they generate. Yes. So to burn it, it's easy. You don't have to take it to Celicor. You don't have to take it to the landfill, for example, my país. Yeah, it's easy, and a lot of people do this. They burn non-desperdicio sólido, their solid waste. Many households do this, and it's simple. And you would say, okay, this reduces the amount of waste. Right? You burn it, like you can see in the picture above. They simply burn it. And everybody knows somebody who does this or somebody in the street. This happens regularly on the island of Curacao. And this may reduce the amount of waste material because you have less to throw into your garbage bin, you have less to put to the Celicor, and you have less to bring to landfill. But it creates pollution of the land, the soil, and our air. And in the end, maybe also our water bodies. So it creates pollution. That's one reason why we shouldn't do this actually, because it creates pollution. Air pollution, land pollution, soil pollution, and in the air it comes down by the aguacero again, and it also pollutes our water bodies in the end. And also it creates a public health hazard, meaning un peligro para salud público. Un peligro para salud público. A public health hazard. Why? Because it's not good for our health. Hazard means it's dangerous. Public means for everybody. Yeah, and our health means salud. So it's a danger. It's a danger for our health, and not only for ourselves, but also for the public, and it's a danger for all of us. Yeah, un peligro para salud público. Yeah, so it creates pollution, but not only this, it is also very dangerous for the public health, for the health of everybody actually. Yeah, I hope this was helpful. And if you have questions, you can ask them below. But before you ask a question, always look first at the learning outcome. And the learning outcome of this paragraph was identify, name possible solutions for the effects of climate change. So name or identify, llama, possible solutions to effects of climate change. So if you have a question about this, ask it below. But when you watch this video again or study the paragraph, before you do that, please look at the learning verb so you know what we're actually doing at that moment. I hope you found this video helpful. If you want to subscribe, you can do that below. You can click on the bell, and the bell will be rung when I make a new video. And I will make some the coming weeks and months about semester 3, actually trimester 3, and the last period of our year, in which you have to show people are form 2A and term B to be everything that you're worth. Yeah, because this will decide if you pass this year to form 3 and will follow social studies or Caribbean history classes. Yeah, we talked about Dream Living, and if you have questions, you can post them below or ask them during class. And for now, a very well meant goodbye.